think of Dionysus, you probably picture wine glasses, leafy crowns, barefoot people dancing in fields, and someone playing a flute, kind of like the hippie of the gods, right? But the truth is, Dionysus was the kind of deity who started the night pouring wine, and ended it invading India with an army of satyrs. Yep, that's the level of Greek mythology plot twist we're dealing with. Behind the party boy reputation was a god who knew death, grief, rage, the underworld, and still knew how to serve a fine red. This is the story of a god born twice, hunted multiple times, and endlessly underestimated. So grab your glass, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell. Because today we're raising a toast to Dionysus, and hoping we don't end up with cirrhosis. The birth of Dionysus is a full-on mythological mess, like a writer's room meeting where no one agrees on the plot. One version says he was the son of Zeus and Persephone, but the Titans tore him to pieces out of Hera's jealousy. Another version says Zeus took the scraps of his heart, blended them into a drink, gave it to a mortal named Semele, and boom, she got pregnant with Dionysus 2.0. A baby made from a divine smoothie. But if you think that's weird, hold on. Zeus promised Semele he'd grant her any wish. She, conveniently manipulated by Hera, asked to see him in his full divine form. And guess what happens when a mortal sees Zeus at full power? Greek barbecue. She was instantly reduced to ashes. Desperate, Zeus snatched the still gestating fetus and sewed it into his own thigh until it was ready to be born. Dionysus was literally born from his father's leg. And they say that's why he became the god of excess. Because after going through all that, you'd want to drink too. It wouldn't be Greek mythology if Hera didn't ruin everything, right? As soon as Dionysus was born, Zeus tried to hide him. He handed the baby off to his aunt, Semele's sister, to raise, disguised as a girl. But Hera, who probably had Olympus' best bastard child radar, found him in no time. The result? She drove the entire foster family completely insane, in full-on meltdown mode, and Dionysus had to flee. He ended up deep in nature, raised by nymphs and satyrs, protected by vines, and surrounded by dancing, rituals, and a bit of education from a wise centaur named Chiron and a drunk old man named Silenus. Sounds like some new age alternative boarding school, but it worked. It was during that isolation that Dionysus discovered vines, grapes, and of course, wine. In some versions, he was helped by a satyr named Ampelos, his close friend and possible crush, who tragically died and was transformed into a grapevine. Dramatic? Yes. Poetic? Definitely. Drunk? Absolutely. When Dionysus finally figured out how to make wine, he became an instant pop star. But with fame came Hera's rage, again. She hit him with yet another divine dose of madness. And Dionysus, completely unhinged, started wandering the world handing out wine like flyers in a public square. Egypt, Syria, Italy, the guy basically invented mythological influencer marketing. Things got so out of control he didn't even know who he was anymore, he only remembered how to ferment grapes. That's when the goddess Rhea stepped in. She healed him, brought him some clarity, and helped Dionysus get at least 1 foot back on planet Earth. Zeus, watching his son turn into a kind of divine sommelier, was proud. But he noticed one spot still untouched, India. So he said, "Go on, son! Bring the wine, and show them how we do diplomacy, Olympus style, absolutely hammered." Dionysus landed in India with his crew, satyrs, nymphs, functional drunks, and flute players. Basically, a squad ready for battle, as long as it was a dance battle. But the locals weren't feeling it. They wanted nothing to do with wine or some new god rolling in. They rejected everything. And Dionysus, who didn't take no very well, decided to invade. Yes, really. The god of parties assembled an improvised army and declared war. The first battle? A disaster. Hera, of course, was helping the other side. But when Dionysus saw all the bloodshed, he had a genius idea. He turned an entire lake into wine. The enemy drank, passed out, and boom, victory. After that, He kept expanding his party empire, marching through Arabia, getting his divine butt kicked, and being saved by Zeus, again. It took him 6 years to finish the whole campaign and return. Which, honestly, makes sense. When your army is made of people dancing with a drink in their hand. In the middle of all that chaos, Dionysus still found time for love. Ariadne, former princess of Crete, abandoned by Theseus on the island of Naxos after saving his life, was there, sleeping, heartbroken, left behind. Dionysus saw her and thought, she deserves better. He married her, gave her a crown that became a constellation, Corona, yes, that one, and brought her to Olympus as a goddess. Not bad for someone who started out betrayed by an ungrateful hero. Dionysus wasn't worshipped with hymns and flower offerings. He was worshipped with screams, dancing, wine, and full-blown possession during collective trance. His followers, especially women, would enter a frenzy and basically become chaos machines. There were even cities that banned his cult and were attacked by leopards created by Dionysus himself. King Pentheus of Thebes once tried to spy on one of these wild celebrations. He ended up torn apart by his own mother and a group of women who thought he was a wild animal. Yep, Dionysus blurred the dangerous lines between ecstasy, madness, and faith. Dionysus wasn't all about good vibes. He went down too. Literally. He made a journey to the underworld to rescue his mother, Semele, and brought her back as a goddess. He was one of the few gods who entered and left Hades' realm alive. And according to some myths, he didn't just do it once. That's why in many mystery cults, he was seen as a god of resurrection, of death that turns into rebirth. Dionysus is the kind of god who starts off laughing, ends up crying, and gets reborn just to do it all over again. He represented chaos, pleasure, pain, loss of control, and everything that happens when we stop pretending we've got it all together. He's the god of those who break the rules, and those who never fit inside them. So tell us in the comments. Is Dionysus just the god of booze, or the symbol of total freedom? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. Because here, mythology isn't just history, it's a full-on transcendental experience, with a full glass. See you in the next episode of Mythology is Cool, where even the gods lose it sometimes, but always with style.